yeah, if you look at this king, I mean, he's the master of doing things. He does things, but he's also puts a lot of thought in. He plans things before he does things. He kind of understands the power of that before execution, planning before execution. He's not like the Knight of Wands. He's matured. The Knight of Wands kind of rushes in before he's ready. But, the king obviously doesn't do that. And I think at this time, this is what you're starting to think about. You're starting to think about love again. This is if you're single, obviously, but you're starting to think about not just love, but how can I plan this properly? How can I think about this properly before I rush in? I don't want to rush in. I want to know the person properly. I want to have my boundaries set up. And I think that's what you're thinking about, because I think you've had your heart broken before a few times. And, the King of Wands is very passionate, but he doesn't automatically act on his thoughts. He sort of puts his thoughts through a filter first before he acts, if that makes sense. So I think what you're thinking about, and I think what you're going to be doing is making sure that, anyone who wants to get close to you goes through a kind of probation period. Well, in your mind, obviously, you're not going to say anything. But I think you're also going to put yourself through that same kind of probation period when you're with someone. You're going to say, okay, let's hold off before I decide. I'm not going to kind of jump in and say, oh, I want them to like me. I'm going to just sit back. I'm going to say, okay, how do this person make me feel? How do I feel around this person? How do they treat me? Not just how, because I think in a lot of relationships, you've been thinking more about them and how do they think about you and what they think and how they feel and all of that. So I think now you're going to think about who they are, you're going to assess them, but you're also going to assess yourself and how you act and react around them. That's what I'm saying. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know if you help people in your work or if you teach people, or, it might be that you just find yourself helping people in the workplace. It might be that. But I think, your help and your concern for others around work, I think it might have seeped in over into other areas of your life. And that's fine. I mean, caring about people's a good thing. But I think there was a line, there's caring and then there's over caring to the point where, you're totally focused on the other person and you're not focused on yourself at all. So I think at this time, with this King of Wands, I think you were just assessing and reassessing where your boundaries were and sort of trying to reach a balance between holding back too much or over giving. You didn't want to do either of those things. You wanted to kind of find a balance for yourself as well as for any people that came along in the future. And so I think that's what you had on your mind at this time. That's what I'm seeing in that card. I hope that makes sense. So the next card you have your past is the Page of Swords. Okay, so I think this can be the spying card and all of that, but I don't think this is anything about love or stalking or anything. I think this is about work. And I think you're going to have to be a little bit careful. I know this is in the past, but I think this is someone who's thinking about this, watching you. So just be aware. I think someone might be looking at your ideas. You're a very caring person. I was seeing that in the King of Wands. And you're also a very sharing person. So you might be a little bit too oversharing around your ideas, work things. You love your work. I see that all the time, and you're passionate about your ideas. And I think sometimes you like to talk about that, and that's fine. I'm not telling you to hide everything, but I think someone might be watching what you do. I think they're thinking about maybe copying or maybe putting out similar things, ideas to you, and kind of passing them off as their own ideas. So that might be what's happening there. They might have already started to do this, or they might be thinking about this. And I don't want you to be all paranoid and secretive, because that goes against who you are, I think. And also, we need more sharing people in the world. We need more people like that in the world. But maybe just try to be a little bit more selective with who you talk to and show things to. And maybe just try and keep the big things, the important things to yourself. And just kind of be a little bit more aware than you have been. That's what I'm seeing there. So the last card you have for your past is the Fool. I love the Fool. One of my favourite cards. Okay, so this is what I'm seeing here. I know I said you're going to have to be, or you are going to be really careful in love and thinking about this and putting people in probation periods and boundaries and all of that kind of thing. But I think you have someone new around you. I think they're already around you. But maybe it hasn't grown into love yet, or maybe you haven't recognized that this is how this person feels yet. I don't think they've approached you yet. But this person's a really spontaneous person. This is someone who I think you do have some kind of a work connection with. I don't think you work with them directly. I think they're around you. I think they've spoken to you about work-related things before, but they're not around you every day, I don't think. So, when this actually all happens, when you realise this is how they feel, and when they actually come to you and talk to you and tell you this, and this opportunity's really right in front of you, I think this is going to be a test. It's going to be a test of these boundaries and this sort of filter system, if you can call it that. And it's going to be a big test of this whole way of thinking, I think. And I'm actually seeing you really wanting this person, being really, really interested in them, being really attracted to them. And part of you is just going to want to sort of rush ahead. You'll be really physically attracted to each other, I think, which is really nice to see. But one part of you is going to want to rush toward them. Another part of you, I think, is going to be a little bit like the dog on this card. I don't think you can see the dog. I think you just see the top of his head in the camera. But anyway, there's a dog there. So there's a dog that's kind of barking at this man. He's saying, no, stop. Don't jump off the cliff. What are you doing, you silly fool? Stop. And so part of you is going to want to rush toward them, say, oh my gosh, they're so attractive. They're wonderful. I want to rush ahead to them. And then the other part's going to be like this dog saying, no, stop. So this is where this test is. This is where you're going to have to find your balance between, the opposite ends of the spectrum. So, and also I think this whole thing is really just going to take you by surprise. So you're going to be like, oh, what do I do now? So it's going to feel a bit like that to you. That's what I'm seeing in that card. So the first card you have for your present is the Magician. Fantastic. So, you might not realise this, but I think you've been manifesting this person for a while. I think you might have been thinking something like this a while ago. You might have been thinking something like, oh, I just want to find someone who chases after me. I just want someone who wants me. And this is what you're getting now. So sometimes these things come in when, we're not ready, or we feel as if we're not ready. And I think when you're trying to manifest this, I think you might have actually had your mind set on a specific person. And I think this might have been someone who might not have treated you very well. I think you tried with them, you tried and tried, you hoped they'd change, you wanted them to change, you wanted to be with them. It was kind of like, oh, they'd be perfect if they'd put more thought into me and if they'd chase after me. And it was like you always had to chase after them, or that's how it felt to you. So, what you wanted's coming to you, but it's coming in the shape of someone else. So this might feel a bit disorienting to you. You're going to feel a bit lost for a while, I think, a bit like the Fool. He doesn't know where he is, and he doesn't care where he is either. He's just out for an adventure. But if you've been carrying around some of these old feelings for someone, and I think you probably have, I think you might still be a little bit, You know, these things can take time to let go of sometimes. This is a crossroads that you're going to come to. And what it's going to come down to is, I think, you know, you're going to have to ask yourself, am I ready to totally let go of this other person and embrace the new person, or even just think about the new person? Am I ready to even have a new person as a possibility? So you're going to have to really think about that. So yeah, it's going to bring up a lot of emotions and a lot of questions. So I hope that makes sense. I hope it wasn't too confusing for you. So yeah, the next card you have your present is the Knight of Wands. Yeah, again, I think this situation, this whole thing is going to be a big whirlwind for you. It's going to feel, you know, in one way it's going to feel great. It's going to feel fantastic. This is the Knight. This is the passionate Knight. But it's going to kind of feel a little bit bewildering to you as well in a lot of other ways. Very confusing, very lost. One thing you don't like is that kind of out of control feeling. You like to plan ahead, you like being in control. So this whole thing's going to make you feel the opposite for a while. It's like this poor knight with his horse kind of jumping up and down. You're going to feel like, oh, this horse is out of control. I don't know where it's going. So, you know, if you need to take a step back from this, do that. Use these rules, these boundaries that you set up in the King of Wands. Use them to settle yourself, to protect yourself. I don't think you need to protect yourself from them, but you're going to have to protect yourself from these unsettling feelings until you can sort of get your head around all of this. It's going to take you a while to do that, I think. So the last card you have your present is Judgment. Okay, I'm seeing something completely different here. I'm actually seeing someone here who might want to apologize to you. I don't know if you've seen this person in your readings before, but this is this person. They want to apologize. I don't think this is an ex. I think this is, I'm not sure what sort of a relationship they had with you, but there was definitely some kind of misunderstanding between you or something like that. And yeah, I actually don't know. I'm not getting a good feeling around this, I've got to say. I don't think you'll be ready for this. I don't think you'll even want to hear from them, really. You do have a very kind-hearted nature. You do have a very open nature. You like to forgive people. I'm getting a bad feeling around this. I think they might be quite forceful in the way they speak to you. And I think you might want to be a bit careful around this. I think this is another time where you're going to have to put your boundaries up even stronger than the other one. I think, you know, I'm getting a really strong feeling that this isn't what you need to have around you. You know, you're not in danger, but you really don't need this emotionally, especially when you're going through these other things. So just be careful around that. I'm not getting good. I can't quite see exactly what's going to happen, but be aware of this person who's going to come back and try and apologize. They're going to be quite forceful, so just be very careful around that. Yeah, that's all I really can say about that. Yeah, so the first card you have for your future is the Ten of Wands. So yeah, if this feels overwhelming, and I think it will feel a bit overwhelming, especially with that person wanting to apologize, I'm getting a bad feeling around that. And also I think already you'll have this other love situation that's going to feel overwhelming to you as well in a different way. So this is another reminder that you set the pace here. You're in charge of your own boundaries. You're in charge of who you want to have around you and who you don't. So just remember that. Don't forget that. Don't be too afraid to put your boundaries up. And I'm seeing that because I'm getting this person in the Judgment card. I'm getting a bad feeling around that again. And I think you're going to have to either, I don't know if you're going to have to go as far as to block them, but I'm getting the feeling that you might have to do that because it's quite, it's not good. The other thing I'm seeing here is that I think things might feel a little bit of a strain for you financially for a while. I think there's something quite big that you're going to have to pay out for, I think. I think you already know about this. I think you know what this is, so it's not going to be a surprise. So, at least there's that. I think you also know that, you'll get this money back again. You'll be able to earn this back. So obviously this isn't fun, but it's not going to be devastating or anything like that. You're going to be aware of this, and you're always very careful with money. You plan things very well, so I don't think there's going to be any big problems around that. So the next card you have for your future is the Two of Pentacles. So yeah, again, here are these financial ups and downs with these coins going up and down again. And it looks unstable, but I can see that you have everything under control again, because this infinity symbol sort of containing these two coins, it's stopping them from falling down. And because you have this infinity symbol here, also it means that you'll always be in control of your money. No matter what happens, you'll always be like that in infinity forever. You're still going to be feeling a little bit indecisive around this whole love situation, but I think eventually it's going to settle down for you. When you drop a coin and it spins around and around really, really quickly, and then eventually it starts to spin a bit slower and slower until it stops and just sits there. And I think that's what's going to happen to your head. Not literally, your head's not going to be spinning around like a horror movie, but your mind's going to be spinning around for a while with all of this love situation and all of that. It's going to have your head in a spin, and then after a while your mind's going to really start to settle down gradually. And I think to help you to do that, you might have to get away from the whole thing for a while, from everything, and just get some time to yourself. Say to everyone, I just want to be by myself for a while. I just want to process everything, and do that. And then I think that will help you. I think that'll help you to make your mind up and come back to this again. So the last card you have your future is the King of Pentacles. Okay, so I'm probably going to sound like I'm contradicting myself, but yeah, you do have to take a step back before you decide on all of this, to stop your head from kind of spinning around. But don't step back for too long. Don't become stagnant. I know you like to plan things. I know you like to be really sure of things before you go ahead. And that's what you wanted to do in the King of Wands. I know all of that. But if you over plan and you start to kind of overthink everything, you might run the risk of becoming paralyzed, not being able to actually make a decision at all or do anything at all. So just be aware of that. I mean, look at this king. He's covered in vine leaves. And he can hardly move because he's been sitting there, and the vine leaves have kind of look as if they're grown all over him. He's obviously in control of things. He's the King of Pentacles. But there's no point in feeling as if you're in control if you can't actually act on that and make decisions and move forward on those decisions. So just be aware of over-analysing. Yeah, get that time out. Get that time to yourself, get your head back, on your shoulders properly so you know what you're doing. But then after you've done that, come back and actually make some decisions. That's what I'm seeing. I hope that all makes sense. I know that was a little bit confusing. I hope it was okay. So yeah, Capricorn, I hope this resonated. Some of it, the best bits anyway. But general readings can't always resonate with everyone, as you know, of course. But again, if you like this reading, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment if that's what you'd like to do. I don't mind. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.